Hey everybody, today is Tuesday, March 31st. It is WizBets here with TMD Props going over the Valero Texas Open. TMD, how you doing, my guy?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself, Wiz?
I'm excited. 1 week away from the greatest weekend in golf. I am hyped for the Masters, especially since you, my friend, are coming off a phenomenal Houston Open. Probably one of your better tournaments of the year, correct?
It is far and away the best. Almost double, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, round four you go 4-1. Round three you go 4-1. Round two you go 3-1, and then what? Round one 2-1. What did you see in this tournament that just you were able to take advantage of?
Not as much the greens and red because they didn't offer it for all four rounds, which was kind of disappointing because most of the guys continued their form. Like in a perfect world, I get to bet Gary three times instead of two.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when there are scarce markets, like you can't find the greens and reg every single time or the fairways hit every single time. You gotta go try to find the gem that's in birdies or better or the stroke bets. And I do feel like the stroke bets just came a little bit easier. Um, there were tough numbers, especially round four with those 67 and a half lines. It can be a little tough, but I think it's much easier to get things going round three and round four when you have the data in front of you. I think betting conservatively rounds one and two is a smart idea because then you end up going 2-1, collect a little bit of profit there. And then round two, there was literally nothing to gamble on. So obviously, we're going to go Dan Brown. And then from there, it's like no volume, use what's in front of you and see if it sticks. And this just happened to be the tournament where it sticks instead of what's happened in the past couple unlucky bounces and you go 2-3 on a 5 game slate. Here we get lucky bounces, 4-1s. So that is just kind of the difference.
Yeah, I mean, your only loss in rounds one and two was Clark, who is now on the ban list after maybe one of the worst round ones I've seen. What a complete collapse by him. And I get a text from TMD on Thursday, and he goes, 0-3, man. 0-3 start to round one. And then got her up in Mitchell, just absolutely locked in on the back nine. Well, the front nine for them because they started on the back nine. And then I really appreciate your discipline in round two, man. The golf game is not a betting volume game. It is not one where you're trying to get content out. You are trying to get winners. In round two, you saw the lines weren't great. There weren't a lot of lines available. So why force volume? Just take the worst golfer on the planet. Take his under 3.5 birdies or better. But great week by you. In March, TMB had a phenomenal record, 48-27 plus 18 units. I am back betting golf with him this week. I was dealing with MLB Open opening week because TMD is a retired MLB capper, so I had to pick up the pace this week, which I feel like I did okay in
Yeah, you
in
did
MLB.
better than I did this weekend in golf. Like you killed it. I think what a weekend for the group. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean we're
a
up
lot
nearly
of people made a lot of money
35 units between you and me, between in golf for you and then a baseball for me in March.
in a
Uh,
span of days, not
but
even a
just like
full week. That's crazy.
just like how you were a Gary Woodland merchant in the Houston Open, I've been a Brewers merchant. So
Yep.
before we start talking about Valero, I did not prep TMD for this because I wanted his honest to God reaction. We got to talk about Tiger. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
and the absolute disaster his career has been since 2009. How can you be one of the best drivers in all of PGA history, but the worst actual driver on the planet? I mean, and I can joke about this one because nobody was hurt besides Tiger. So I can actively make fun of a man who is worth more money than anyone could ever fathom, and he doesn't know how to hire a personal driver.
it's a I think it's a substance abuse problem, and like here, he's probably on a ton of pills just because he's older and hurt. I think the lack of hiring help to get him places has a lot to do with security and just privacy. I don't think he wants people to know what he's up to. I still think he should have probably gotten a driver, but I can understand how being as much of a public figure as he is, wanting the most space, and how maybe his reluctancy to hire a driver played into that, um, led to this. It sucks, but I'm happy that he's finally like stepping away because it's really the worst thing that you can do for your career
Well,
when
I was about to
it's like,
say all that privacy that he wants, he's getting it now. His career is practically over in PGA. I'd say I'd be very shocked to ever see Tiger Woods golf again, which sucks for the sport because they were really hoping that Tiger was going to be golfing at the Masters. Um, One of the greatest golfers of all time, but we were never going to see him be successful again either way, in my opinion. Is that true?
body he couldn't play 4 rounds as well. Just physically couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I thank you for your service, Tiger. Enjoy retirement. Stay off the pain pills. All right. Time to move to Texas, where we got the Valero Texas Open here at TPC San Antonio. If you haven't already listened to TMD's course preview about the Valero Texas Open, go to Spotify, add Tour Talk to your list of podcasts to watch. It takes 15, 20 minutes. It's just a quick course overview, stuff that we really don't cover in this specific show. But I did want to give you the opportunity to talk about something you hate me asking about. There are two things that TMD in our producer notes just doesn't put because he doesn't want me to talk about it. The first is Harry Hall. I'm not allowed to talk about Harry Hall anymore. Otherwise, I'd spend 10 minutes talking about him every show. And weather. But weather's going to play a big impact today in Texas, especially with the wind. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that's going to affect round betting this weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be weird. At the same time, it's pretty consistent weather, which I actually love because if it was lighter rain and lighter wind on one day and then heavier on the other, that would make things a little weird because you still don't have sort of the data that would align with how the course will play that given day. I like that on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like you're still going to see light rain, but enough to be a problem. Base wind in like the 10, 11, 12, 13 mile per hour range, and then gusts that go into the 30s. So it's going to be tough to pick apart who's going to be able to play through the wind the best. And I think that the AM PM splits, like, we're going to have to really look closely in on the weather just to see if anything changes. Maybe someone has 5 extra holes that are a little bit easier because of a lack of weather or not, and then maybe react upon that.
Yeah, because the splits are going to be huge, and then we've already had a few withdrawals. This is a very medium course. I would medium field. I would say you have some decent golfers in there, and Siwoo, Russell Henley, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki. But there is a big drop off. Are we expecting a few more withdrawals? You think before Thursday, or do you think this we pretty much have the field now?
I have the field now. I mean, there could be one tomorrow. There were a lot today, so I would expect things to kind of calm down.
Gotcha. Par 72 course here at TPC San Antonio. It is a longer, more difficult course. Scrambling is going to be a big thing that really factors in here as well. My big thing that I got from your podcast, again, Tour Talk, make sure you listen to that on Spotify. This is going to be a veteran course. This is going to be a course for right before the Masters where a lot of people who have done this routine before of golfing for a few tournaments for the Masters know how to golf this weekend, and the conditions in the course make it really amateur unfriendly. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment a little bit or no?
Yeah, it's one of the most predictive courses on tour, which is shocking. I think that that typically play. I mean, that kind of plays because it is a difficult course and kind of hard to navigate. And if you're not really accurate, and that typically when courses are like that, you're going to see them being called a predictive course. I mean, and next week we have Augusta. That's the most predictive course.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely think it's the veterans that are trying to work their way in or trying to squeeze in some prep. I know that this is like Hideki Matsuyama's favorite Masters prep. He plays this every single time, and kind of balls out. So yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a few guys that we talk about. Obviously, Siwoo, Hideki are at the top of the list. We got Tommy Fleetwood. But I want to start off with Mr. Top 20, Top 30 himself. I would say maybe not the golfer of the year so far, but definitely the most consistent golfer in Russell Henley. If you haven't already checked TMD's rankings for the Valero Texas Open, make sure you follow him on Twitter. He releases model rankings. These are not the top 10 golfers to bet on, these are the top 10 golfers that model the best. Initially, right off the bat, the thing that I was interested in this tournament was going to be Morikawa, but he has withdrawn, which makes, in my opinion, Russell Henley the absolute favorite to win this weekend. What do you like about Henley, and why have you already bet on him?
It's the accuracy. He's not known as a bomber by any means, but a very, very accurate driver. I think this course plays into a lot of his pacing of setting up shots the way that he does. He's extremely accurate. He's a great putter, and really, like when you look at that chart as well, with all those green, like you see that it's green everywhere besides ball speed and driver distance, and it's just not one of the courses where that necessarily matters. So essentially, take those two away, and he has a very, very green chart for all the metrics that you would need. Because this is definitely a place where you need, ball striking, approach, like the culmination of both ball striking, but you also really, really, really need around the green. Not just because you're going to be dealing with some tough misses that you have to clean up, but also just like shots up close. Like you might actually just have to wedge it out if you can't make it to the green in two and some par fives, or let's say like you narrowly miss on a par four. Like you're just going to need that in your bag, and that's something that Russell has. He leads, or he's the only golfer that is like top 10 or top 15 in par three, par four, and par five scoring. He's just a very consistent all around golfer. And that's just kind of what this course demands from you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at course history, last time he played it was in 2024, where he finished fourth. Would you say course history matters at all for modeling golfers this weekend, or no?
Totally. I think with it being such a predictive course, I think it's relevant. But what's weird is that there aren't very many like course horses or anybody who repetitively comes and finishes well over and over again. Just because it's not a tournament that always sees attendance, it being 1 week before the Masters, some people elect to do the Houston Open, some people elect to do Valero. Like we saw Akshay Bhatia try to prep for the Masters by going to the Valero. He ends up winning it. But then this year, well, where is he? 2 years removed from winning the tournament. He doesn't want to use it as prep. I don't know. It's just kind of a choice that everyone makes. And then even this year, like Scotty and Rory didn't even play the last 2 weeks. So I think the variance lies in whether people decide to play rather than them actually finishing well. So you'll see some gaps when you look at charts on how they finished. You'll just see random. Oh, well, he just didn't do this tournament for 5 years. What's up with that? It's just kind of a rare choice that they make.
How many golfers that are among, I would say, like top 50 golfers are playing the Houston and Valero? Because I am struggling to find many that are playing back to back. It seems like a lot of the golfers that are playing this week didn't play last week.
I can't think of any either. It's probably like lower, like Will
Well, Keith
Zalatoris.
Mitchell,
Will Zalatoris.
Zalatoris.
No, did he not play last week?
I don't think Zal played last week. I
Uh,
know Keith. I know Keith did though.
yep, Keith Mitchell.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
Siddharth Sanyala Maharju. He did really well last week.
Hmm.
It's just going to be the guys that are trying to play their way in. Like if you win this tournament, you get to go.
Gotcha. I mean, the best thing about Russell Henley, you mentioned it. Actually, it's the first time you've ever mentioned, I think, on any of these previews that ball striking matters. I can't believe that even came out of your mouth. But yes, Henley is one of the better, more consistent ball strikers on tour this year. So, I mean, I'm with you there. We'll talk about what bet I specifically love for Henley that I think you already played. Let's talk about another guy that we really haven't talked about much about. You're not taking Hideki Matsuyama as your favorite Japanese golfer this week.
I'm not. I mean, Rio has flown up the ranks for me. He's someone that I actually trust close to as much, not as much, but Hideki's still my most profitable golfer since Scotty kind of tanked that a little bit after starting 8-0 for me on the year. Um, I just think it's too close for comfort. Like Rio Hisatsune has done such a great job this year. He's going to be so good on this course too. It's definitely going to be interesting to see who is the best finisher from Japan because they're genuinely neck and neck for me right now.
Yeah. Is there any reason you would take one of them in a specific course over the other? Like, what are the differences between the two that you target?
I think Hideki's more of like a surgeon. He's been super good on approach his entire career. This year, he's been lethal around the green. Um, Both are not the best putters, but I do feel like Rio has kind of putted his way out of certain situations. So that one can kind of go either way. I just think that Rio's more of a like accurate driver who plays courses very easy, steadily, and well, and tries to make scoring as easy as possible for himself. I think Hideki is like an alien from a distant planet where they learn to hit the craziest shots ever. And then another thing about Hideki that's different from almost every golfer is that he has a different mode where he just goes crazy and hits every single shot. So I think that Hideki is so much into the higher end of golfers that we see just because he's so capable, whereas Rio plays a very steady game, a very clean one too.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I get that. All right, let's move on from the Japanese guys. Let's talk about a veteran in the PGA, Ricky Fowler. Somebody that on the year so far, I think has been very up and down. Either finishes high in the top 20s or nearly misses the cut. I think he missed. What tournament did he recently miss the cut in? He just missed the Houston Open last weekend. You'll talk about a golfer that's playing back to back. Ricky definitely wants to do better right before the Masters. Is there any reason that you have confidence in Ricky Fowler this tournament compared to the Houston Open last weekend?
I probably had more confidence in him then, but he's still someone that I'd like to focus on here just from a narrative perspective. I don't know exactly what he'll have to do. I'm not sure if it's a win and you're in, but he's just outside the top 50. He's trying to get into the top 50 world rankings to be able to play at the Masters next week. This would be like his first year missed in quite some time. So he's definitely going to look to play well. And I think that he has an extra edge as opposed to previous years just because his driving accuracy has increased so much this year. I think it's the best of his whole career. I could be wrong about that, but. Um, it's just nice to see that part of his game becoming a little bit different. And I think that he's been so solid putting and short game in general this year, I feel like. So if he can kind of piece that all together, he's not like someone I'm super high on this week, but he's definitely someone that with some extra juice can make something happen.
I think it'd be more like if you see him do well round one, then you can buy into the narratives rounds two, three, and going forward. But you definitely
His
want to see.
odds are so short right now, though, so it's really tough to buy into him winning because his odds are already like I think he's 27 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
if he
too
does well
much.
round one, it's you pretty much you got to just
I'm
let it
talking more
happen.
for like round betting if he isn't by is if he's not getting like round leader lines, which he very well might. We'll talk about
Yeah.
what you're going to be targeting for each round scores, birdies, greens and regulation in a bit. The last golfer that we highlighted here, Sepp Straka, one of I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but two top 10 finishes on the year, including a top five, four top 20s. Definitely somebody that has risen in the rankings. Started the year off Phoenix 18th, finished second at Pebble Beach, had a bad outing at Genesis, but back-to-back top 15 finishes for Sepp. What is the angle with him this week at Valero?
Yeah, this is definitely a guy we're gonna have to nail into your noggin. This is also a surgeon. Sepp is one of the most accurate ball strikers on tour. Really a guy that has started to not even become underrated because I think people just expect it from him. Um, Definitely a guy that nails greens regularly and has had a couple wins in his career solely because of that. He's also had a ton of runner ups too. So I think when you look at courses where you have to be really, really accurate and hit your shots over and over and over again, like Sep's just one of those guys. There are a few supreme ball strikers that are not the cream of the crop at the top, that still can kind of hold their own putting, don't kind of throw it away. This is to me a more like polished Siwoo at times because he's not putting his way out of rounds. But there are definitely some holes in his game. I just think for this one, when you're dealing with accuracy first and then everything else, Sep always has to be on your radar.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's like underrated's tough. I think I phrased that really poorly. I know he had 2 wins last year, but the odds for him weren't great to start the year. Like he was in like the middle range of odds, and he's starting to get higher and higher
And you know
every tournament.
what? Like every single week, because of that whiz, he was one of the most tipped, if not the most tipped golfers every single week because people couldn't believe why he was sitting there in that like 55 to 1, 59, 65 range. So people were just betting him over and over and over again. And honestly, it wasn't even because they felt like he had the best chance to win. It's just when you see Sep at that number, you got to click it.
I gotcha. Looking back at your rankings, is there anyone else in this top 10 that you are targeting or at least looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, there's going to be the narrative that Jordan Spieth has just done so well on this course, and I do think that there's a lot of things that make this a really good spot for Spieth. But I question some of the shots that get hit from Jordan, and as much as I would love him to just ball out again and have great form headed into Augusta and then show out there. It's just I can't fully get behind someone who can be as wild as Jordan Spieth is. Although I do know that this is a good spot for him. He has dominated this course before. He has won before and has done pretty much better than everyone else. He takes this test right before the Masters very seriously, so I expect him to finish relatively well. I don't know if I fully trust it. You know.
No, I get that. I get that for sure. All right, let's talk about odds now as we start looking at tournament winners, top finishes. As we see on the top of the board, we got Fleetwood, Ludwig, Henley, Spieth, and Siwoo and Hideki all right next to each other. And then we start getting into some values. We talk about Rio a little bit. Sepp Straka, Spawn, Alex Noren is around 1 to 40. Our old friend Marco Penji, who probably is not somebody we're going to be targeting.
Who?
Shut up. Penge, whatever. I hate you so much. Zalatoris makes an appearance a little bit higher than I would have liked because Zalatoris has been a little bit disappointing this year. But I want to start at top 20 and an official bet that you have already made. We already mentioned him. Why are we doing top 20 Henley again? And why am I just going to tail you straight up? Because
Yeah,
this
I
dude
feel like
is
it. I feel like it's inevitable because whenever I take Henley, the reasoning is so like smooth that it just you got to take Henley. He's Mr. Top 20. I feel like every single week I'm kind of like tilting my head a little bit, and I'm like, is this just another spot where he's going to finish pretty well and not win it? And it's yes every time. Um, he's been a wagon for the pre-tournament bets this year. I think we've lost on it one time, and that's when he technically did finish 19th. It's just we kind of didn't really think about dead heat rules. So because of the odds, we technically lost money and it technically has to count as a loss. But he did finish 19th. So I don't like that. But every other time he's won, it's been easy. He is not a guy that like Jake Knapp last week for me. He was 31st going into Sunday after being top 10, or top 15, top 10 for the entire time. I got a little nervous, and then he ties the course record on Sunday. Russell Henley's the opposite of that. He will just get in it and stay in it the whole time, and it's been that way all year. This actually is one that he could win, so kind of to see that, but just such a consistent golfer and checks every box. So you got to take it. You just have to. We missed out on the model darling last week with
yes.
Nikolai. Not this time. We're not missing the model darling this time. We're taking it.
As we move into top 30, because I wouldn't say there's really anybody else in the top 20 that the odds are really worth it. Fleetwood's a little high for me. Siwoo and Hideki have just such high range of outcomes. But as we move into top 30, I think people that stand out to me, obviously you mentioned your other favorite Japanese golfer. He's sitting at minus 104. Mitchell's at minus 106. Straka's at minus 126. Anybody in this range that really stands out to you?
Yeah, tons. Love Keith Mitchell. I think JJ Spawn could definitely finish top 30 here. I think it fits his game pretty well. We've already talked about Sepp and Rio. Denny McCarthy is a freak at this course, and I just got to tail it. You're going to see a lot of steam on Thorbjorn Olesen. I'm so used to saying Thorbjornsen for Michael Thorbjornsen that like when I smush together his name, it looks so weird. Anyways, Thorbjorn Olesen, who if anyone that isn't aware, guy stripes golf balls, cannot putt. Really awkward. Um, Similarly, like a Ricky Castillo, I would not bet on him, but definitely a guy that hits the ball well. Siddharthan Yellow is also heavily tipped this week. Great ball striker, great form, looked awesome last week. So I think out of all value plays, and you might be asking me this, so sorry to spoil it, but I
No.
think the best value play on the board would be Yellow just because when I keep scrolling down, like you can't trust Austin Smotherman, you can't trust Hao Tong Lee, you can't trust Demond de Chassar, so it's just tough.
You can get him
So
top
I
40
would
for minus 112 right now.
who?
Yellow Maharju.
You know, yeah, that's probably the best top 40 bet. I think that it definitely has to be the best top 40 bet. Um,
What is his outright right now? Because we can jump into that right away. We can skip the round betting. We'll talk about that maybe at the end. But
he's 61 to 1 right
60,
now.
61 to 1, you feel pretty good about that as like a mini dart throw?
Yeah, I would say the dart throws that you're going to see from a lot of people this week are going to be Olison, Yellow and Kiefer. So those guys all sitting around that like 60 something to 1 range, those are going to be your guys if you're looking for value.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not looking for value, and you probably shouldn't be, because I do think that one of the big guns is going to win. I know I probably say this every week, but this one just kind of feels right. There are some really, really good golfers, and then yeah, there's a bit of a fall off. And so I think that, this isn't a course that is new to surprises. Definitely seen some pretty meh golfers win over the years, but yeah, I think this one's going to be a favorite.
I would say Sep to me probably has the best value if you were to pick one of the big guns, in my
I
opinion.
agree. I agree.
Henley's sitting at 18 to 1. If you're really confident in Henley, I think that's fine. I'd probably go. I think the best value sits at top 5, including ties for Henley at plus 335. I think that value is probably really, really good for him. But yeah, I'm with you there. Right before I let you go, then let's just really quickly talk about what we talk about every week. Generally, for par 72 courses, we're looking at like 69 and a half, 68 and a half lines. That is not going to be the case this weekend. For the golfers that you do like, what round score line are you looking for Thursday, or just in general for the whole tournament?
I'm hoping and praying for 71 and a half lines, honestly. But I mean, I think everyone is. It definitely, if you're trying to be optimistic and take unders, I think we're going to see a lot of 70 and a half lines. That's okay with me. I do think that the weather is going to prohibit a lot of good golf, and we might not see total success. I think it's going to be around one where you see a lot of lines the way that they are, and then I think Friday the numbers are going to be worse. So take advantage of what you can for round one would be my advice, and then check back in and see what the data tells you for all those crazy numbers that you're going to see on Friday.
I will say I'm seeing a lot of 10 and a half green and regulation lines.
Probably going to be the only round where you can bet it. I do not think that they're going to have that up for rounds 2, 3, and maybe 4. Um, but this week, I'm definitely going to lock into that a little bit more and try to see what I can do because I do miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, which it'll be there for the Masters, obviously, but Fowler and Hideki both at 10 and a half greens in regulation round one, and they're golfing early, which I haven't gone too in depth about the weather, but it looks like the later group is really going to suffer from the wind. So again, that's going to be a big thing to keep an
Yeah,
eye
it's
out as
weird with
well.
rain.
Again, it depends on what we see on the weather the night before, but make sure you know what time your golfer is teeing off at. and which set the wind is going to impact more is what I'll leave everybody with. But next week, Masters Week, really expect a extended preview between me and TMD. We are definitely excited about that. Anything else you want to mention, TND, before I sign off?
Yeah, next week definitely going to be a lot more different things that we touch on, different bets specifically. I think we'll probably take some while on the air, and so it's definitely going to be fun to go over the just break down the whole course and all the different golfers because it really is one of the best fields ever. Because you just have all those previous winners in there too. You might be able to take a fun bet, like I know sweating Phil Mickelson to make the cut every year is always a joy. So just fun stuff like that. Definitely going to have a lot more of like a joy angle rather than a sweat out coin
Mm-hmm.
angle. So there's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to throw out there next week. So definitely tune into that one if you're going to at all.
Would you say there's going to be more quarter unit and half unit plays for the Masters than normal?
I can see that. Yeah,
I
definitely.
I can definitely say that as well. All right, let's have a great Valero Texas Open. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed, let us know who you think is winning this tournament. I will go out on a limb here, and because I disrespected him, I will go Sepp Straka to win this Valero. I'm assuming you're going Henley.
Yeah, I think it's really Henley. I would definitely say him or, like maybe watch out for Ludwig. Who knows?
All right. Have a great weekend, y'all. We will see you next week for the Masters, and we'll catch y'all later. Have a good one.